Welcome back. In just a few minutes, Statistics South Africa will release data on the country's economic performance for the second quarter of 2025. The GDP figures will reveal how different sectors of the economy performed between April and June. This follows a slight growth of just 0.1% in the first quarter of the year. Let's unpack this story with Economics Professor Dr. Miriam Altman. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for joining us on Newsfeed AM. 0.1% in the first quarter. There are some projections that put the second quarter at between 0.4 and 0.8%. Is that being very optimistic given how many jobs we've already shed?
I think it probably is optimistic. I think the sense is that the consensus view is that we may see one maximum 1.2, 1.5% for the entire year.
Sure.
That means we're stagnating, by the way. Sure, it's realistic. With the gold price going up, our mining volumes have fallen, but the rising commodity prices, particularly gold and PGMs, have helped mining. Particularly, agriculture was greatly benefited. As you know, we had a big leap in agriculture in the first quarter of the year. Yeah, potentially so, but it's not a good picture. You can split hairs if it's 0.4, 0.5, or 0.6, but the point is that we're just not growing fast enough.
Yeah, I suppose the reason for this optimism might also be because the 30% tariff on exports to the United States came into effect before the end of quarter two.
I'd just like to restate, it's not optimistic. It's a good thing that we're not crashing and burning and physically shrinking, but the population's growing by 1.6%, and so we're not even growing by the pace of that. Mm-hmm. We generate about maybe 150,000 jobs a year, but the labor market grows by about 450,000. So you do the math. Unemployment's rising. The formal sector is not particularly growing. The only sector that is now selling more than it did, that the production is more than what it was in 2019, is the retail sector, just to put it on the table. So very possible that it would rise from 0.1 to 0.4 in the quarter, but that still means that the economy is essentially stagnating, just to position it correctly.
Yeah, I hear you. That is not optimistic, just realistic. But when we talk about igniting the economy to the point of dealing with our jobs and unemployment crisis, Dr. Altman, what kind of growth ideally would we be looking for, and is that anywhere on the horizon?
Well, so that's the important thing, which is not to cry over spilt milk, but to say what's happening. So, there are incredibly important initiatives that people are probably aware of, from Treasury's intervention to turn around the main metropolitan areas, services, electricity, water, sanitation, to sort out municipal finance, to improving the service of Eskom and Transnet and PRASA, key, basically monopoly services that government runs that are essential services. Just giving those even as examples would make an enormous difference to our growth rate. So, people should stay attuned and watching those things to make sure that they continue and are entrenched. And I'm only giving a few examples. There are other things that are happening. The turnaround in our revenue services was incredibly important as well. So there are turnaround actions that are in play, and so one hopes that those will take hold. Right now, investment is about 15% of GDP. It should really be around 25% of GDP. And some people call it an investment strike. Corporates are sitting on about a 1.5 trillion cash pile. Some people call it an investment strike. It's not an investment strike. It's just that the conditions for investment are not conducive. We don't know what's going to happen with the tariffs with the states, but our more pressing issue is really the domestic, strengthening domestic institutions so that we can get product out to begin with.
I'm glad you talked about the issue of investment and investor confidence, Dr. Altman. We've been talking a lot about the issue of criminal enterprises operating in our country. There are many people who believe and have evidence that those criminal enterprises operate at the top echelons of government. Does that figure into your assessment of growth over the next few years?
Well, look, it's a problem. And it's a problem in every country, including incredibly successful economies, Japan, China, Vietnam, you name it, America,
Yeah.
That kind of corruption is not unique. What happens is if corruption is overwhelming any kind of productive activity, then you've got a big problem. I mean, it's a big problem anyway, but we kind of have crossed the kind of bridge where it's actively destructive to progress. So this is where I think the presidency has been stepping in with Operation Vulindlela. The business sector also, BLSA issued a reform monitor last month. And I think that that's a really good way that the population can hold government to account to make sure that these reforms continue. And that is absolutely the kind of thing we need to see more of, is citizens becoming aware of what's happening and making sure that it continues. But there's a lot of good initiatives to keep it going. And these kinds of initiatives that I've referred to are critical, and citizens have to get involved.
Mm. Yeah, and I absolutely hear your point that it's not unique to South Africa, the issue of corruption. But of course, what is unique to our country is our unemployment rate.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why we can't afford this. If you're Japan and you're stagnating, that's another thing, because you're a high-income economy and everybody lives okay. The States, things are going crazy, but it's a higher income economy. For us, it's devastating. Mm. So, unemployment, when I started working on it, was 30%. It fell to like 22%. We had a great, it shows that we can do it, and it happened really quickly, like in a space of, 5 to 10 years, that we went from 30 to 22, and now we're at 33% strict and 41% broad. And half the population under the poverty line, more or less. I haven't looked at the numbers lately, but, something like that in a middle-income country. Mm. It's not acceptable. So this slow rate of growth, there's so many things that have to happen. Those things, some people think you shouldn't be focused on growth. I just don't get that, because these things I refer to, from education to having fundamental services like energy, water, ports, commuter transport, urban areas working and functional social services, these things are what you do to create growth and encourage investment and make the country more livable and create a decent quality of life. And they're just not moving at the pace that they need to. We have to be getting to at least a 3% growth rate on average for an extended period of time to start eating into unemployment. Mm. And we've really got to mobilize, the country's really got to get mobilized and clearer about that.
Absolutely. And right on time, Dr. Miriam Altman, thanks for your time.